I started my Navy career on June 10th, 1966 as a kiddie cruiser, which meant that I spent 3 years in the Navy, getting in on my day before my 18th birthday, getting out the day before my 21st birthday. I went in with a buddy plan with Carl Bain. We went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, met the governor, and he gave us a Wisconsin flag for our company. The first week of boot camp, we got GI haircuts. We were issued uniforms and we sent our civilian clothes home in a box. We had schools about naval history, we took tests for classifications, and we had medical exams and shots. I had 21 shots in boot camp. Boy, did they hurt. In the second week of boot camp, we marched and marched and marched to keep in shape. We also had dental examinations, and all of our clothes were carried in a sea bag when we marched to our assigned barracks, first in Camp Barry and then in the second camp, which was Better Camp, but I cannot remember the name. In the third week of boot camp, throughout our complete boot camp, in the barracks we had fire watches, clothesline watches, Dipsy dumpster watches. We washed all of our clothes by hand and hung them on the clothesline. We had to have square knots tying the clothes to the line, otherwise the wind would blow them off. For you civilians that don't know what clothes stops were, they were little white ropes that were tied in square knots around your clothing to hold them on the line. We had inspections to make sure that they were square knots and not granny knots. We marched wherever we went in squads, and sometimes we double timed between our appointed classrooms. We got up before light and we marched to breakfast, and we had inspections at 8 o'clock in the morning. Throughout boot camp, we learned damage control, knot tying, ship life, change of command, rating designations, the types of ships. We stood personnel inspections, compartment inspections, we had PE, we did a lot of push-ups, we marched from everywhere we went. We had a swimming test that I passed. We went into the smokehouse and the gas house, and we learned proper phone etiquette and how to tie knots. Basically, we learned how to survive and work on a ship. On August 23rd, 1966, Company 374 graduated with 88 graduates. We earned the following flags: 1 Brigade E flag, 1 Brigade drill flag, 1 Brigade star flag, 1 Regimental E flag, 1 Regimental drill flag, 1 Regimental star flag, 4 Battalion E flags, 2 Battalion I flags, 4 Battalion star flags, 5 Battalion drill flags, 1 color company flag, and we had a Wisconsin flag for a total of 26 flags. We were the honor company for the graduation. After graduation, I received my first 2-week leave. Each year, we have 1 month of leave out of the year. I went home to the farm, as did Carl Bain, my buddy. That is where we split up, and I never seen him again until we got out of the Navy. I was assigned to a 2-week boat coxswain school in Dam Neck, Virginia. After graduating from the coxswain school in Dam Neck, I was sent to a barracks in Little Creek, Virginia to wait for my ship, which was out on a cruise. In October of 1966, the ship came in and I was assigned to 1st Division deck. I was sent down to Master Sergeant's quarters, which is located in the 3 level below the tank deck. I worked for 1st Division for about a month under Willie Wyatt. This was the first time I experienced working for someone with a different skin color. Willie was a very efficient leader of the deck force. The deck force was made up of people that had not been assigned to other divisions. The first day on the job, I worked with Willie pulling in the anchor, with the cable being stretched to the anchor and 7 men pulling up to keep the slack up. We were told in boot camp about accidents that could happen. Well, the first day it did happen. The cable broke. I was about the 5th man in line, and the first 3 guys in line, along with Willie, got knocked to the floor with the broken cable. No one was seriously hurt. In 1966, in November, we made our first cruise and stopped off at New York City. That was the first time I saw the Statue of Liberty. When we got off the ship, my legs were like jello. I can understand why they call it walking like a drunken sailor. In December of 1966, the crew decorated the ship for Christmas. We won a prize for the best decorated ship. At night, the ship had Christmas lights that were very bright. We had a sailor that was sleepwalking in his sleep, and he walked in his skivvies up to the quarterdeck and was stopped before he fell into the water. He was discharged with a medical discharge. January 1st, 1967. Happy New Year's. I've been here for 6 months. We stood by for Mike Ruby and had the morning watch. I slept all afternoon and I watched the movie, which was good, Promise or Anything. January 2nd, 1967. I slept all morning. I went bowling in the afternoon. My average is 125. We were in port. The first day of real work on January the 3rd, 1967. We were still in port. I watched the movie Young Lovers, which is a bad movie. Seamen Remy, Annan, and Barr got caught for stealing a car and smashing it up on the way back from their liberty. I received my seaman courses and I need the BMR to be promoted. January 4th, 1967, I went to the dentist. I had one tooth filled and I made an appointment to have my teeth cleaned. We're still in port. January 5th, 1967, I had the duty. I had the 8 to 12 p.m. watch. I got my pictures back, and I got the wrong ones. We're still in port. January 6th, 1967, we had a zone inspection. We won the Best Ship Award for decorating the ship. I watched the movie Winds of the Heart. January 7th, it's a Saturday, I watched the movie The Ghost in the Invisible Bikini. And I also watched a second movie, One Spy Too Many. Sunday morning, January 8th, 1967. I got to sleep all morning. We're still in port. I listened to the tape, the Hot Knots album, and I watched Paradise Hawaiian Style. Monday, January 9th. Had the duty, the 8 to 12 watch. We're still in port, and I watched the movie Viva Marie with Brigitte Bardot. Tuesday, January 10th, I went to the dentist to get my teeth cleaned. We're still in port. Wednesday, 11th of January, I went before the striker board. That is a board to determine what division you're transferring to. I wanted to be in a gunnery or the signalman. We watched the movie Return to Vengeance with Chuck Connors. Thursday, another payday. I skipped it. No place to spend the money. Friday, January 13th, 1967, we had a personnel inspection on the berthing, and I had the duty 16 to 20. That's 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. I watched the movie Patsy with Jerry Lewis and Strange Bedfellows as a second movie. Saturday, January 14th, 1967, I went bowling and drinking, in parentheses, pop, with Remy. Sunday, January 15th, 1967, I had a visit on my ship from Jim Callis and Welty we saw Lawrence of Arabia, and we were still in port. Monday, January 16th, 1967 is our first day at sea in 1967, and we put in boats in the water. We had drills. Tuesday, January 17th, 1967, we had gun shoots. I was on Mount 32. Before that time, I was on damage control. We were out at sea. Wednesday, January 18th, we had more gun shoots. I was second loader on Mount 32, which is the job of putting the ammo in the gun trays. Thursday, January 19th, we had drills from GQ, which is general quarters, and also abandoned ship drills. We're at sea. Friday, January 20th, we pulled back into Little Creek Port. I went to the Exchange, which is like a drugstore combination grocery store. Saturday, we woke up to Reveille on the 21st of January 1967 to an all-hands working party. When we have all-hands working party, everyone is expected to work, and the Master of Arms looks around for people hiding in various spaces trying to get out of work. Sunday, the 22nd of January 1967, I had the duty. We worked all day, and I had morning watch. January 23rd, which is a Monday, and it's time to pull out to sea again for our one-week cruise. We pulled out at 9 a.m. We steamed all day. I had a chance to be a signalman. Tuesday, January 24th, we arrived at Morehead City, North Carolina. We picked up Marines. We saw a school of porpoises following the ship. I had a chance to be a gunner's mate. The weather is nice. We're at sea. Wednesday, the 25th of January 1967, is my first day in gunnery. We steamed all day. We're at sea. It's another Thursday, the 26th of January 1967. It's payday, and I skipped it again. I had the morning watch, 4 to 8 a.m. We steamed all day. The uniform of the day is skivvy shirts. The 27th, which is a Friday of 1967, we steamed all day. We pulled into Viegas. We pulled into the wrong pier. At 1 a.m., we went on sea detail. At 11:30, we secured. Saturday, the 28th of January 1967, we unloaded our Marines. We helped the USS Essex, which had been grounded and anchored off of St. Thomas. We went on Liberty at 2000, and we were back at 2200 to hit the rack. Sunday, the 29th of January 1967, I again went to Liberty in the daytime. This time we saw Bluebeard's Castle. Had a good time. I took pictures, and I came back to the ship at 1500. We set sea detail, and we left for Nassau. Monday, January 30th, 1967, we pulled out. We steamed all day, and it was just a routine day at work on the sea. February 1st, which is a Wednesday, we anchored off of Nassau and sent our Liberty boats in at 1300 for Liberty. Yeah. February 2nd, 1967, I had the duty. We brought the ship to port, Prince George Wharf. There was rats galore. I had pier sentry and watched the rats try to get onto a ship. But the ships were unable to accommodate the rats, because that's why we put rat guards on the ropes. Friday, February the 3rd, 1967, I went on Liberty at 8 o'clock and went shopping. And I went swimming at the public beach. I toured the city at night. Very expensive, but nice. At 2 a.m., our Liberty expired. Saturday, the 4th of February 1967, we had to get up early. After being back at the ship at 2 a.m., we were pulling out at 6 a.m. and steamed all day on our way to Morehead City. Beautiful, nice weather. We were at sea. Again. Sunday, the 5th of February 1967, I went to church. I took temperatures in the compartments, and I worked on the mounts in the afternoon off the coast of Florida. We're at sea. Monday, 6:30 in the morning, we arrived at Morehead City. We unloaded our Marines. We prepared to get underway. We anchored off of Onslow Beach. Rough weather. Tuesday, the 7th of February, 1967, we prepared to load LVTs on the tank deck. Weather is too rough, though, so we lost our stern anchor that day. It just wasn't our day. Wednesday, the 8th of February 1967, we maneuvered off Onslow Beach. We received divers for the search of our anchor. We cut a new stern anchor. We loaded 18 LVTs and we splashed down at 2200. Thursday, the 9th of February 1967, we're anchored off Onslow. We have a payday for the crew. This time I took my pay of $119. I have a smallpox vaccination. It rained and it was cold. Frostbite was predominant. At 1500 hours, we got underway for Little Creek, Virginia. The sea is really, really rough. Friday, February 10th, 1967. We steamed all day at top speed. We pulled into Little Creek at 1700 hours. We hit the pier. We put a hole in the port bow. The LC strikes again. The hole was 14 inches by 5 inches. Saturday, the 11th of February, 1967, we moored at pier number 16 in Little Creek, North. I went over to the exchange. I worked on my seaman courses. Was good to get mail again. 14 letters and 5 papers. February the 12th, which is a Sunday, nothing much happening, so I worked on my courses for seamen. Watched the movie Ensign Palmer. 13th of February 1967, a Monday. Normal work day. We cleaned the compartment. I watched a movie. The 14th of February 1967, I went to the dentist. I had fluoride treatment. My normal work day. I had duty the mid-watch. The 15th of February 1967 was a normal work day. I worked on the mounts. Thursday, the 16th of February 1967 was a normal work day, but we had an admiral make an inspection of the ship. Friday, the 17th of February 1967, we had an all-hands working party for ammunition. The XO informed us of the 6-month med cruise. I went to the exchange and picked up my film. February 18th, I had the duty. We're in 4-section duty. I was in section 4. The 19th, which is a Sunday, I had the duty again. I took temperatures and I was sick. I had 2 watches that day. February 20th, a Monday of 1967, I had a normal work day. I worked on the mounts. Everybody's going crazy trying to get leave. March 6th, we leave for a week of operations. We're still in port. Tuesday, the 21st of February 1967, a normal work day. I went to the doctor due to an unhealing sore on my arm. February 22nd, which is a Wednesday, holiday routine. Happy birthday, George Washington. Ship was decorated. I had the duty in the mid-watch. Thursday, the 23rd of February 1967. I like Thursdays. It's payday. $25. I ordered a set of whites for my cruise, which cost $13.95 for 1 uniform and 1 tropical shirt. Friday, the 24th of February 1967, I mustered for McDonald. I had zone inspection, watched movie Fireball 500. It's a good movie. Saturday, the 25th of February 1967, I worked on the troop magazines, grinding the deck. I also went to the exchange. Sunday, the 26th, I stayed on the ship. I slept all morning. What a wasted day. I worked on the seaman courses. Monday, the 27th of February 1967, I had material inspection. I took out $50 allotment. I watched the movie Duel at Lablo with James Garner and Sidney Poitier. I also took the temperatures of the ammunition. February 28th, Tuesday, 1967. I worked on the mounts. We had 3 new reserves reported in aboard. And I watched the movie Fatimus. March 1st, Wednesday, 1967. March came in like a lion. I worked on the mounts, tagging empty ammo rounds. I watched the movie Munster Go Home. 2nd of March, 1967, which is a Thursday, I had the duty in a mid-watch, and they closed the laundry all week. Friday, March 3rd, 1967, I worked for Petty Officer 3rd Class Novak, tagging ammunition. I had all-hands working party. The Commodore inspected our troops' quarters. March 4th, Saturday, I worked in the magazines all morning. I played cards in the afternoon, and I watched the movie Princess and the Pirate with Bob Hope. On Sunday, the 5th of March, 1967, I slept until 10 o'clock, and I finished my seaman courses. I'm ready for the test. We watched the movie Robin and the Seven Hoods for the second time. New men are coming aboard like crazy. I watched the movie Assault of the Queen. We're still in port. Monday, the 6th of March, 1967, we pulled out at 9:30 a.m. and we steamed all day. We had a starboard shaft bearing freeze. Everybody was sick due to the high seas. On Tuesday, the 7th, all exercises were canceled due to the heavy rolls, about 45-degree rolls. We had foul weather. I stood a break-in shift in after steering. When I walked into after steering, I would go in with a cup of 7-Up, a puke bucket, and some crackers, and throw up for 2 hours, and then my shift would be over. I also did a bridge watch that day. On the Wednesday the 8th, we had a high line exercise, and we got up at 7:30 for reveille. The following day was payday on the 9th for $25. We also got a 5 o'clock reveille call. Friday the 10th of March 1967, we pulled into port at 11:30 a.m. We had mail call again, and I had 6 letters and 2 papers. I bought a tape recorder from Mac McDonald for $30, and I paid him $10 down. The 11th of March through the 29th of March, we were in port the whole time. Nothing much happened other than all hands working parties, getting things on the ship, watching movies. I went bowling and got a game of 154 and a 125. Other than that, we waited for our next adventure. On the 30th of March 1967, we pulled out of Little Creek at 9 a.m. We followed the TP 1156, which was the Tyrone Parish LST, with her causeways. We almost hit a duck. That's a motorized duck with a ship. I saw a whale off the fantail. We saw 3 white streaks in the sky at 8:30 in the evening. Maybe a UFO. March 31st, 1967, our second day of our Mediterranean cruise. 5 o'clock reveille. We loaded the Marines at Morehead City. The warm weather is getting to us. The XO announced that we were having a beard growing contest. We saw porpoises. 1st, 1967, we met with other ships in our squadron. We got a radio message to proceed to Bermuda. We left the squadron and we took after steering over from general quarters for the first time. April 2nd, Sunday, holiday routine. I played checkers and cards. They turned off the showers for 1 hour for water conservation. April 3rd, Monday, was a nice day, so I went sunbathing. I worked on the mounts, and I had control and after steering on my watch. April 4th, we got the laundry back finally. Our water hours have been changed. Helicopter picked up White House, who had an appendicitis. Wednesday, the 5th, April 1967, we refueled the minesweepers. Holiday routine 3 o'clock, I took the seaman test. We had a smoker and a barbecue on deck. April 6th, Thursday, 1967. We've been at sea for a week, heading for the Mediterranean. It's payday. I had $22. We played checkers, and we had a tournament. I lost. April the 7th, Friday, we refueled 3 MSOs, which are minesweepers. One of the MSOs, number 427, ran into us and punched a hole in our port side. We got news that I passed the seaman test. We're still at sea. 8th of April, 1967, Saturday, we highlined with the T-Bone Parish, LST. April 9th, holiday routine, Sunday. We played cards and I sunbathed. We rendezvoused with the Pocono, GC-16. We're still at sea. Monday, the 10th of April, 1967, we highlined Admiral Pete and Colonel Short across in a bucket. They went back in a helicopter. April 11th, Tuesday, 1967 was a normal work day. We worked on the pre-fires on the mounts. They should shoot all the guns on tomorrow, gun shoot. We separated from the Pocono. We're at sea. April 12th, 1967, Wednesday, we canceled the gunnery exercises and we rejoined the squadron. It rained that day. April 13th is a normal work day. It rained again. Helicopter landed bringing guard mail. On the 14th, which is Friday, we highlined with the Pocono. We had general quarters, and we got shots for typhus and TB, tested for TB. We passed through the Straits of Gibraltar at 1 a.m. On the 15th was a normal work day in the Med. Now we have rough seas. April 16th, Sunday, I went to church. It was a routine holiday day, and I played cards. April 17th is a normal work day. We got 4 hours of sleep the night before. We refueled from 1800 to 2400. We got mail call at 1 in the morning, but 7 letters, first in 19 days. They were soggy because we lighted the mail and we dropped it in the water. 18th of April, 1967, the helicopter brought mail. I got 3 letters. We set condition 3, wartime cruising. We fired our guns at surface sled. I manned Mount 31. We had a man overboard, not a drill. We judged the beards. The man overboard was a false alarm. It was a piece of floating garbage instead of a person. We had holiday routine at 1400 hours. The 19th of April 1967, we had an IA inspection. We landed Marines on Arancia Bay in Sardinia. I painted the deck on Mount 33. We had an anti-sneak attack drill. And I had the mid-watch on Mount 31, and we slept in the RS box. The Thursday, the 20th of April, 1967, it's payday again. I got $36 pay. I lost my LC cap in the bay because it was very windy. We worked until 7:15 p.m. Full night's sleep. Friday the 21st, 1967, we had a normal work day. We set the anchor detail at 1 a.m. to prevent a collision with a tanker. I got a full night's sleep that night. Saturday the 22nd of April, 1967, we worked all day. We got news over the intercom of the Greek uprising. We might have to go to Greece instead of the Mediterranean. We got underway at 2000 for Genoa, rough seas. Sunday, April 23rd, 1967, we had holiday routine. I took the temperatures of the ammunition lockers. I sunbathed. We headed for Sardinia to await orders. Liberty looks bad. Monday, the 24th of April, 1967, we are now headed for Athens, Greece again. We saw active volcano on the island of Stromboa. We went through the Straits of Messina between Italy and the island of Sicily. We saw whales off the fantail. We put in 14-day quarantine because of 2 cases of the measles. Tuesday, April the 25th, 1967, it rained. We had rough weather. We replenished our supplies with a helicopter. We were taking 45-degree rolls. April 26, 1967, we entered the Aegean Sea. We rendezvoused with the USS America. Thursday, the 27th of April, 1967, we were detached from our squadron when we headed back towards Spain. Liberty, maybe. We saw a Russian fleet of destroyers. April 28th and 29th of April 1967, we worked both days. We saw a school of porpoises. April 30th, 1967 was a Sunday. We worked in the afternoon for the 2nd Division. Our first lieutenants are sweating it, getting the deck painted. May 1st, we arrived in Palma, Mallorca, a Spanish island. I had the duty. Uniform blues are the uniform of the day. May 2nd, Tuesday, 1967, my first day of liberty on the island. I walked all over Palma, Mallorca. They have all small cars, narrow streets, pretty girls, but none of them speak English. Money is a problem. 60 pesos equal $1. Wednesday, May the 3rd, 1967. I had the duty, the first watch. We had guests aboard. Don Motes, a sailor from our ship, got caught and put in jail for stealing a car. May 4th, 1967, we went on a bus tour to a monastery in which the composer Chopin lived. The whole tour cost, along with a meal, $3.25. On the 5th of May 1967, I went on a shopping tour and I rode in a horse-drawn cart. We visited a museum. We pulled out for Valencia, Spain at 1600. Saturday, May 6, 1967, we went on liberty in Valencia, Spain. 3 guys were overcome by gas in the gas pump room. Cara, Librian, and Marino. May 7th, I had the duty, but on Monday, the 8th, I went on a bus tour in Valencia, Spain. We visited a cathedral in which the cup that was used for the Last Supper was supposed to be there. We visited ancient ruins of Secuto. Tuesday, May 9th, 1967, I had the duty and I was on the pier watch as the drunks came in from Liberty. We had side boys for the Spanish colonel that came aboard. May the 10th, Wednesday, we stayed an extra day in Valencia, Spain because Miller, seaman signalman, went AWOL after being caught drinking wine on the signal bridge while on duty. We searched the entire ship and couldn't find him. When we found him, we were able to leave Valencia. Thursday, the 11th of May 1967, we got underway. We're homeward bound. We found Seaman Miller. The 12th of May 1967, which is a Friday, we went through the Straits of Gibraltar. The 13th, a Saturday of May 1967, we worked all day. I painted barrels for target practice. We'll be firing next week, next Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at these barrels. May 14th, 1967, Sunday, was holiday routine. We fired primers getting ready for tomorrow's gun shoot. May 15th, Monday, 1967, our gunnery exercises were postponed due to contacts at other ships in the area. May 16th, Tuesday, general quarters at 3:30 p.m. We fired guns and the machine gun to sink the barrels. May 17th, Wednesday, we had general quarters. We fired our guns and the machine guns to sink the barrels. Ballard, bosun mate second, broke his eardrums from the blast. May 18th, Thursday, another payday skipped. Training for the Mount Cruise in handling ammo and practices loading. Sanders' seaman got a dummy round dropped on his foot. He broke his big toe. 19th of May 1967 is a Friday. We had another gun shoot in general quarters. Howe, engineman third, hurt his head in the engine room. May 20th, Saturday, we had a zone inspection and personnel inspection in whites uniforms. May 21st, 1967, Sunday, we had a holiday routine. We had a small arms shoot, and I played cards. The next day, on Monday, the 22nd, was a normal work day. I slept most of the time. I got changed from Section 2 to Section 1. We also had a short arms inspection. Tuesday, the 23rd of May, 1967, we arrived in Morehead City. We debarked our troops. I received mail, 10 letters and 2 papers, the rough seas. Then we went to, on the 24th, we arrived at Little Creek, and I had duty and I worked for deck. May 25th, Thursday, I borrowed Bowman's car and I went bowling, and I went to the exchange. We had early liberty at 8:30 a.m. The following day, on Friday, we had early liberty also at 10:30, and I washed clothes at the barracks, and I went to the exchange. I laid around on Saturday and Sunday and sunbathed on Mount 33. The week of May 29th was the first day of work. I painted the dummy drill ammunition locker, and I watched the movie Across the River to Texas with Dean Martin. Was holiday routine on the 30th, which was Memorial Day. We had a normal work day on the 31st, payday on the 1st, which was $69. June 2nd, 1967, we had 1600 liberty for some people, but our Section 2 got liberty at 8:30 p.m. On the 3rd, I had to be back to muster, and we worked until 1600, and I got my pictures back from the cruise, 62 pictures with 7 rolls of film. On Sunday, the 4th of June, they enforced revelry. I visited Gallus, who is now a quartermaster. On the 5th, I had duty. I worked until 8:30 p.m. An inspection on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we finished our in-service inspection, and gunnery was said to be an outstanding division. The 8th of June, 1967, I went to Mr. Sanders, who was our gunnery officer's stateroom, to talk to him about a transfer chit. He guaranteed me a gunnery school should I stay. On the 9th of June 1967, I had the duty. On the 10th of June, I had been in the Navy for 1 year. I went to Ocean View and I went swimming. I saw Al Schultz from my boot camp days, who is now a signalman. June 11th, 1967, we had an open house on the ship. I slept all morning and I was a tour guide in the afternoon. On the 12th of June, 1967, happy birthday to me. 6 guys tackled me and wished me a happy birthday. We had Boy Scouts visiting the ship that day. June 13th, Lorain County was chosen Ship of the Week by WNOR, which was a radio station in Virginia that broadcast from our pilot house. June 14th was a normal work day, as was the 15th, which was a Thursday, and payday was $32. I went to a movie on the 16th downtown. We had duty weekend on the 17th, which was a Saturday, and also on Sunday I had duty. 26 reserves came aboard our ship. The week of June 19th, 1967, I started a 3-inch 50 maintenance school at Dam Neck, Virginia. I checked into the barracks number 533. It's just like civilian land. The school is interesting, I went to a movie on base with Chris, who also went to the school with me. On the 21st, the school is getting more difficult. And on the 22nd, I went to the exchange and I went bowling with Tom Crowder. On the 23rd, I had the first week test. I got 2.6. I went back to the ship at Norfolk to pick up my mail. On the 24th, Saturday, Tom Crowder and I went body surfing on the beach at night. We went into town, Virginia Beach. On the 25th, Sunday of 1967, we went swimming in the beach again. Pretty big waves. We watched a movie on base, Murderous Row, with Dean Martin and Ann Margaret. It was a good movie. On Monday, we started our second week of school. We watched a movie in the barracks on a color TV for the first time. Everything else was black and white on the ship. Mutiny, which was a good flick. We're still in Damnick on Tuesday, and we played shuffleboard on Wednesday, and I went to a movie, Bullwhip Griffin, on Thursday. I finished the school on Friday, the 30th of June, 1967, and I went back to the ship. July the 1st, 1967, I drove to Virginia Beach in Bob Carlos's car. On Sunday, we slept until 10:30, and I sunbathed on Mount 33, and I wrote letters home. On the Monday, I worked on PMS on Mount 33, and I had the duty. On the 4th, which is Tuesday, I slept all morning and I watched TV. In the afternoon, I stood by for Miller. Some 4th of July, it rained and it was dark and dreary. Most of the rest of July until the 18th was routine in-port work. On July 18th, a Tuesday, 1967, we pulled out at 3:30 p.m. and we anchored off of Cap Pendleton, Virginia. We had midshipmen aboard. We held amphibious landings and made causeway marriages on the 19th, and we had more landings on the 20th. We saw a school of stingrays and more causeway marriages on the 21st, and we steamed for Morehead City. The 22nd, Saturday of July 1967, we pulled into Morehead City. We unloaded the Marines. I went on Liberty in Morehead City. The people looked friendly, but they looked small to me. I went to Atlantic Beach. July 23rd, 1967, a Sunday, we went on Liberty, and I went on a deep sea fishing charter boat 50 miles out. We caught 3 black bass, 1 porky. The porky weighed 3 pounds. We had fun, although a lot of the sailors got seasick. July 24th, 1967, we pulled out for Onslow Beach. We steamed on the 25th around in circles. We pulled into Little Creek on the 26th. The 27th was payday, and I skipped it. On noon on the 28th, we had Liberty, and I went to Washington, D.C. July 29th, 1967, I visited Washington. We went to the Lincoln Memorial, the White House, the Smithsonian Institute. On July the 30th, 1967, I went to Arlington Cemetery, the Kennedy Grave, and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Marine Memorial. July 31st, 1967, I had the duty. We jacked the guns out of battery, all non-rated hands working party. On the 1st of August, 1967, I finished jacking the guns out of battery. We pulled out on the 2nd of August, 1967, for Camp Pendleton. We had 300 Marines aboard. August 3rd, 1967, we had 4:30 a.m. reveille. We had causeway marriage, LVT landings. We watched the movie What's New, Pussycat. On the 4th, we pulled into Little Creek, and I had the duty. I laid around on the 5th and watched TV. On the 6th, we went swimming at the EM Club. August 7th, 1967 was a normal work day. We tested the magazine sprinklers, and I got picked as a nuclear weapons guard. I had the duty on the 8th, and Powell, gunner's mate first, came back from leave. He was our leading petty officer in the gunnery division. August 9th was a normal work day. I watched the movie Easy Come Easy Go the second time. On the 10th, which is a Thursday, is payday again, and I got $96. We had towing exercises at Little Creek Beach. We sold my tape recorder to Charlie Mitchell for $35. I watched the movie First to Fight. I also watched the movie on the 11th, Gunfight at Abilene, with Bobby Darin. I had the duty on Saturday, and it was a holiday routine at 1300. I slept on Sunday and had the duty, and I watched TV. The 16th of August, 1967, we had a ship's picnic, but I didn't go. I had to guard the magazines. I had got my confidential clearance for nuclear weapons. On the 17th of August 1967, we had a NTPI inspection, and we flunked it. I got leave to prove for the 20th. On the 18th of August 1967, I worked on the vents on deck on Mount 33, and I went to the exchange. On the 19th, I got squared away for my leave. August 20th, 1967, a Sunday. I'm homeward bound. I got a ride as far as Chicago, and I hitchhiked from there. I arrived home at 7:30 p.m., 20 hours on the road. I had the relatives over. Went to ball games during the period of time that I was on leave. Most of the ball games I went to were my brothers, and they lost. I went to the Bonanza in the Dells with Daryl Smith, my old neighbors, and Russ Salke. I went to a free show in Ironton. I stopped at the north of the border, and I met Mary Jane Cass. I also saw Ernest Much there. Mike Schulenberg came home, and we went out to Baraboo. Jeannie Meyer's wedding was on the 26th, and Ruth Yawn was there. The wedding dance, Carl Bain got home for leave also during that period of time. I went to church, I went to Reedsburg, and I went to the Dells, and I went to a dance at the Bonanza. I saw Don Schinker from my high school days. I went to a free show in Ironton. Nothing happened there, so I went to Reedsburg, and I went to Baraboo to Jim and Karen's, my brother and sister-in-law. I went to the Bonanzas again during the period of time that I was home, and I went to communion at church, and I went to a picnic at Pepper's Grove. Then I caught the 5:40 flight out of Madison, and I got back to Norfolk, Virginia at 12 a.m. Monday, September the 4th. I slept all morning. I'm back on the ship. I watched the TV and the movie Colossal of the Arena. On the 5th, I pulled out of Morehead City, and I watched a movie at sea. September the 6th, 1967, we held LVT landings. We had an LVT start on fire at 2100. We had to have general quarters, and I watched the movie A House Is Not a Home. On the 7th, I made more LVT drills, and we had a payday, and I made $30. The 8th of September, we had a skeet shoot off the fantail. I shot the .30 caliber machine gun. We had a fire in the stack, and we had general quarters again at 2200 hours. On the 9th, I cleaned the small arms, and I had duty. We had an Army ship pull up next to us. September the 10th, at 1300, we had quarters. We had condition number 3 set forth because putting us in a 4-hour standby to get underway because of Hurricane Dory is headed up the coast toward us. September 11th, 1967, a Monday, Hurricane Dory changed course and we're safe again. We cleaned the spaces for a zone inspection. We went to the dentist. I had one tooth filled again. I went and worked out at the gym. and I went bowling. I bowled 3 games. My average was 110. September the 12th, Tuesday, 1967. I had a zone inspection. I sent a money order home to renew the Times Press. I watched the movie Busy Body with Sid Caesar. The next day was a normal work day. We had typhoid shots and a blood test, and I brought my health records up to date. The following day, I painted the superstructure. Guess what color? Gray. The 15th of September 1967, I had a personnel inspection. I bought a bus ticket to Greenville, North Carolina. I arrived at 1:45 a.m. and I left at 7:15 p.m. I stayed at the Smith Motel. The cost of the hotel was $6.50. I looked around Greenville and I went to the Eastern Carolina University. I visited Brenda Linton. I stayed at the Bachelor House Hotel for $4. September 17th, 1967, a Sunday, I slept until 10 o'clock and I caught the 12:45 bus back to Virginia. On the 18th was a normal work day. We're sweating tomorrow's inspection. I got a color TV in the cruise lounge now. Wow. 19th of September 1967 was personnel inspection. We had early liberty at 12 noon. I went to the gym and bowling. I bowled a 113. September 20th, 1967, critique on our inspection. The ship got excellent, so we got liberty call at 2:30 p.m. September the 21st, Thursday, 1967, was payday. I got $47. I sold my Swinger camera for $14 to Seaman Apprentice Beasley. I had the duty. I had liberty call at 12 o'clock and 13 o'clock, holiday routine. We had a fire with a rag catching fire in the engine room. Friday, the 22nd of September, another trip to Washington, D.C. I had a 72-hour pass. So Liberty was at 8:30 in the morning. Went to Washington, D.C., and I stayed at the Servicemen's Club. It's a real nice barracks for military personnel. It cost $1.50 a night. I met guys from the ship there, and I found 4 girls, and we took them dancing. I met Nancy. The 23rd of September 1967, I was still in Washington, D.C. I went sightseeing to the White House, and I visited the Smithsonian Institute. I met Mary Kay Frazier from New York City. September 24th, Sunday, 1967, I went back to Norfolk, and I rode on a Greyhound bus. I met a girl from Richmond, Virginia. Richmond RPI College. September the 25th, Monday, we pulled out for a towing exercise with the Duval County. We had lousy highline detail. We pulled into port at 8:30 at the darkened ship. Hathaway, Seaman Apprentice, got hit in the mouth with a heaving line. On the 26th of September, we got ready for the next week's cruise. We had general quarters in port, which lasted all afternoon. We're thinking about going back to D.C. this weekend. On the 27th of September 1967, we had an all-hands working party. Miller, seaman recruit, came down with a case of mononucleosis. We had a case of root beer stolen, and the officers threatened to take away our liberty because of the theft. On the 28th of September, we had an all-hands working party and had general quarters. On the 29th, I got Dennis O'Connor to stand by for me so we could go to D.C. Saturday, the 30th of September 1967, Tom Crowder and I went to the Smithsonian Institute and we visited Washington Memorial. We hitchhiked back to Norfolk on Sunday, and they started at 3 p.m. and ended at 8:30 p.m. and got back to the ship. Monday, October the 2nd, 1967, a Monday, we pulled out for a 3-week cruise to the Caribbean. We were told that we were to fire on Thursday, but we had 2 firing pins missing from Mount 32. We found those 2 from another ship and used them to shoot. On the same day, Jackson and Gill went to a court-martial, and they got 60 and 90 days in hard labor. October the 3rd, 1967, we spent all day loading Marines and their vehicles. We saw Weldy and Callis on the Waukegan County ship. We also collided with that ship while we were pulling out of the harbor. The 4th of October 1967 was a normal day of sea, making preparation for tomorrow's gun shoot. But on the 5th, we had the gun shoot, but we blew it, as usual, except for O'Connor's exceptional shooting. That was written by O'Connor. We sighted an unidentified floating object that turned out to be a float off of a fishing net. Friday, October the 6th, 1967, we had general quarters at 11:15 because of a fire in number 3 engine room. We steamed all day. We pulled the old sea-bat gig with the Marines in the fantail. Saturday, the 7th of October 1967, we arrived at Villegas. We began unloading troops after dark. The crew fished off the fantail, and we caught a lot of fish. The 8th of October 1967, we arrived at San Juan, Puerto Rico. I had the duty the first day, but on the second day, on the 9th, I went sightseeing. On the 10th, we went on a tour around the island, and I went to a factory and a beach and a rainforest. Josephine was our tour guide. October 11th, 1967, we went underway for Little Creek, Virginia. I got the duty. I had to stand by the bridge watches again. We were into 3 sections now. On the 12th, we postponed our gun shoot until tomorrow. We had a highline exercise with the Waukegan County. October 13th, Friday, 1967, we had a gun shoot. We had formation training for officers. We talked to Corporal in the Marines to stand by a mail boy watch in the crow's nest. That was just a joke. October 14th, heavy seas, rainy weather, and 35-degree rolls. We had holiday routine, and we arrived on the 15th at Morehead City. We unloaded our vehicles in record time of 20 minutes. The 16th of October, 1967, which was a Monday, we pulled into Little Creek. We had liberty at 1300 hours. We held a freshwater washed down the ship with fresh water. On the 17th, our leader, Gunner's Mate First, Powell, was gone, so the rest of the division skated. On the 18th of October, 1967, we handled ammunition all day. We brought 285 rounds aboard. We had a general quarters, fire, in the main control. October the 19th, Thursday again, and it's payday. I had $33. I had the duty. On the 20th, I stood by for Dennis O'Connor's. We had a captain's inspection, and Yeoman Second Class Lynch retired after 20 years in the Navy. On the 21st, I stood by for Novak, and I took temperatures, and I was a duty driver for Walker, the yeoman. The truck broke down, and I met Jenny, who was Frank Noto's girlfriend. On the week of October the 22nd, 1967, we had holiday routine for Sunday, watch movies, and during the week we played football, watched movies, and went to the exchange. Not much was happening. October the 28th, I went downtown on a bus and watched 3 movies. Bonnie and Clyde, Crime in the Summer Morning, and we found out of our cruise to Fort Lauderdale has been canceled. October the 29th, we played Scrabble and football. On the 30th, we found out about gunnery school. The 31st was Halloween, trick or treat. And on the 1st of November, Gunner's Mate First Class Powell, our leader since I got on the ship, left. November the 2nd was payday, $30. Bowman, Gunner's Mate Second, came back from shore patrol to take over the division. We watched The Spy with a Cold Nose. We had the inspection the next day on the 3rd, and on the 4th we had duty. On the 5th I had duty, and it was on a Sunday, holiday duty, and I took the temperatures and I painted out the gun barrels. We watched the movie Johnny Dark with Tony Curtis. On November the 6th, we went out to sea again. The weather was very cold with high winds. We had general quarters on the 7th, and we had a gun shoot with a sled pulled by the USS Seneca, AFF 91. 33 fired 47 rounds for a score of 100 points. 31 fired 29 rounds for a score of 72. At 9:10, we had a fire in engine room number 1. The fire was extinguished immediately. On Mount 32 is back in commission after a full day's work. We are now 300 miles from Fort Lauderdale. November 9th, Thursday, 1967, was a special day in my Navy career. We were 100 miles from Cape Kennedy. At 7:05 a.m., we saw Apollo the 4th rocket blast off. It flew directly over our ship. We saw the first stage separate. We watched it for about 5 minutes. November the 10th, 1967, we pulled into Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We had a 72-hour pass, and I went to Birch State Park. I went up to Pier number 66 and a tour of the city in a showboat. We saw nice houses, beautiful boats, friendly people, and very windy. We went shopping, and it rained all afternoon on Saturday, and so I went bowling in Fort Lauderdale. November 12th, 1967, Sunday, I saw the porpoise show at Ocean World Aquarium. It was a beautiful day, so I hitchhiked to Miami and I watched the movie Tony Rome. November the 13th, Monday, we're back at sea. Another nice sunny day. We're heading north toward Little Creek, getting ready for a gun shoot. On the 14th, a Tuesday, we had the gun shoot canceled because Curlum, engineman fireman, had an appendicitis, so we had to change course, and we headed for Charleston, South Carolina. And the Coast Guard helicopter picked him up and took him off the ship. The 15th of November, Wednesday, 1967, we had a gun shoot finally held, and 32 fired 24 shells. And we have an air shoot scheduled for tomorrow. On the 16th, we had that air shoot canceled again with a 4 o'clock reveille. Hubbard, seaman, was sick and had to be taken to the hospital, so he pulled into Little Creek and had duty with 2 watches. November 17th, 1967, we had early liberty at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I went with Frank Noto to his house, which was located close to the base. He rented that house, and I stayed overnight at his house and went bowling and played cards. November 20th, we welcomed a new man in the gunnery division. His name was Tom Fierstein from New York, and he was a gunner's mate seaman apprentice, and we called him Frankenstein. November the 21st, gunner's mate seaman Beasley left with a discharge. November 22nd was a normal work day. We ground down the deck on Mount 33. On the 23rd, we had a delicious meal because it was Thanksgiving. It was a holiday routine. We played Scrabble, and I called home. We watched the movie Thunder Alley. November the 24th, Friday, 1967, Seaman Dennis Sims was discharged because he was allergic to wool. I had the duty, and the following day, on Saturday, I slept all afternoon, and on Sunday, I played Scrabble, and back on Monday, the crew went to the first loader school. On the 28th of November, we had assigned to be a compartment cleaner for a week. On the 29th, I plan on going to D.C. this weekend with Mike Rice. We may have a date with a nurse. Mac is standing by for me. On the 30th was payday, $33. December 1st, we had a zone inspection, which ruined my weekend. I didn't go to D.C. On the 2nd, we had duty. On the 3rd, I slept all day, 14 hours, and I watched TV. On the 4th, I worked on PMS. Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel was put out of commission by a ship that ran into it. Most of the month of December 1967 was boring and routine, and we stayed in port. On December the 10th, 1967, everybody got excited about a 2-month cut, and ship was going to lose 32 men. On the 11th, I got wrote up for not turning in my Liberty card. December the 12th, I went to a dinner playhouse that the ship had free tickets to, called The Girl in the Freudian Slip. The 13th of December 1967, we removed the doors from the gun tubs. One door fell off the gun. On the 14th of December 1967, which was a Thursday, we had a payday of $33. We had high school students tour the ship. We brought ammo aboard, and we had another fire in number 3 engine room. Friday, December the 15th, 1967, I had the duty. We had 18 guys that got cut out of the roster, one of which was Frank Nodo, my gunner's mate, 3rd class training officer. December the 16th, I took the temperatures in 30 minutes. I went over to Frank's house and we played cards and we had a farewell party. 17th, I watched TV at Frank's house. On the 18th, I had duty and I worked on the PMS. Things looking like Christmas. Liberty call was at 12 o'clock. December 19th, 1967, we started to decorate the gun mounts for Christmas. We watched the movie The Perils of Pauline. We finished on the 20th. The gun mounts looked like candy stripes, looking good. On the 21st, I had duty and we had a party for orphans. On the 22nd was payday and I got back pay for $15. On the 23rd, I went to Mac's house and we decorated the tree there. It looks good. On the 24th, I had duty and I called home for Christmas. And at the 25th, which was Christmas Day, I had Christmas dinner at Mac's house. Had to make it ourselves. On the 26th, I had duty. On the 27th, we moved ammunition into a lower handling room. And on the 28th, we had payday again. We had flu shots and the leave periods were rotated. So Novak made domestic master of arms. The last 3 days of December 1967, the 29th, I had duty and had a fire watch for the ship fitters on the gun tubs they were working on. On the 30th, I slept and watched TV, and on the 31st, bye-bye 1967.
January 1st, 1968. Happy New Year. Rang in the new year with ship's whistle and bells. Had duty, took temps, watched football games. Had a 16 to 20 hour watch. January 2nd. Changed into 4-section duty. 1600 Liberty. Worked on gun tubs. Received 215 rounds of ammunition. January 3rd, Wednesday. Had duty, 1200 to 1600. And had watches from 0400 to 0800. It rained. We were in port. Thursday, January 4th, 1968. Rained, and Jim Chris had chance to be transferred to Louisiana. Had dental hygiene lecture on tank deck by the commander. January 5th, Friday, 1600 Liberty. Hitchhiked to D.C. No pea coats. Cold. Met Marilyn and Joan at Speakeasy and had $20. Marge and Marianne came down from Baltimore to see Mac and Tom. January 6th, 1968. Hitched back to Norfolk in snowstorm. Took 6 hours. Sunday, January 7th, 1968. Slept late, went to church, watched movie. No heat on the ship.
January 9th, Tuesday, We had sea detail. We loaded causeways. We loaded the wrong ones first. Had to redo the loading. We watched the movie Invitation to Happiness. It was freezing rain. We heard an alarm go off. It was a man overboard alarm, and two men were in the water. One was a drunk who fell in the water, and Hubbard was the pier watch. According to Hubbard, he saw the man fall in and handed him his nightstick to help him out and was pulled in. It took about an hour for us to get the two out of the water. They both were very cold. January 10th, 1968, cold weather. We worked on the gun tubs. Ice was all over. Mac has 37 days till he gets out. I took the military leadership test. There are CBs aboard. I went to a movie. January 11th, Thursday, 1968. Payday, $33. I had the duty, ground off gun tubs. I had the 20 to 24 hour watch. We're still in port. January 12th, Friday, 1968. We had a captain's personnel inspection, a messing and berthing inspection, an all-hands working party. I got out of the inspection to grind gun tubs. We watched Fluffy, the movie. January 13th, I had a 72-hour pass, but had to be in and work on Saturday. We're getting everything ready for us to go out to sea next week. I went downtown to see the movie Don't Make Waves with Tony Curtis. Sunday, January 14th, 1968. Deck held a freshwater washdown, and I watched TV. I watched the Packers win the World Championship 33-14. On the 15th of January, 1968, we pulled out for a month's cruise in the Caribbean. On the 16th, we loaded troops and vehicles at Morehead City, North Carolina. We anchored all night, and we saw porpoises. We had two promotions in the gunnery division. Novak, also called Bear, and Mac McDonald made third-class gunner's mates. January 17th, underway again. We only had 100 Marines and 20 CBs aboard. We worked on PMs on Mount 33 and had nice weather. Thursday, January 18th, 1968, worked on PMs on Mount 31. Chris was put on Mount 33, trying to get more strikers. We set the clock ahead an hour. Friday, January 19th, 1968. We had rough seas, big heavy rolls, people sick all over the place, loose gear, gas spilled on the main deck, air conditioner turned on. The small arms shoot was canceled because of the rough seas. January 20th, more rough seas, small arms shoot was canceled. We had spilt gasoline on the main deck. Full work day, worked on the forward mounts. Sunday, January 21st, 1968, we arrived at Viegas Island, offloaded our Marines, and we worked all day on mounts, ground down the gun tubs. We had a water shortage, casualties on mounts 31 and 32. We worked until dark. We also had a freshwater washdown. We offloaded the Marines. It's warmer weather now, and we're sunbathing. January 22nd, Monday, 1968. General Quarters air shoot. The first time that I was mount captain on Mount 33. Mount 31 shot 1, Mount 32 shot 0, and number 33 we shot 3, but I had to throw 2 over the side. I made 1 hit. I worked all day. January 23rd, we anchored at St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. I worked on gun mounts and a casualty on Mount 32. On January 24th, Wednesday, I worked on the gun mounts until dark. Went on Liberty, but it was a dull town. On the 25th was payday, $35. I had duty, so I didn't see much of St. Croix. On Friday, January 26, 1968, we pulled out for operations. We had a gun shoot. Mount 33 was my gun mount. We shot 9. I threw one over the side. 32 shot 9, and Mount 31 shot 20. On Saturday, January 27th, 1968, we had another gun shoot at Calibra. Mount 33 shot 14, 32 shot 14. Asphalt, commissary Seaman, had emergency leave in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Sunday, January 28, 1968, we had another gun shoot at Sleds. This time, 33 was out of commission. Anchored off of St. Thomas, we painted out the sides of the deck with an LVP, which is a pop-up boat. Monday, January 29, 1968, we held an ORI inspection all afternoon. We anchored off of St. Thomas again. January 30th, 1968, we pulled into San Juan, Puerto Rico. I went on liberty at 6:30 a.m. Police were aboard to work on Mount 33, which was broken again. On the 31st of January 1968, I had the duty and I went for spare parts for Mount 33, which was still out of order. I worked until 1:30 a.m. on Mount 32. February 1st, 1968, which is Thursday, again I worked until 2:30 a.m. on Mount 33. We pulled out of San Juan for operations. February 2nd, 1968 was Groundhog's Day. We had a gun shoot, and Seaman Apolloni and Seaman Roman are our new gunner's mates. Thanks for the help. February 3rd, 1968, we had a gun air shoot, 32 shot, 26 rounds. Sunday, February 4th, 1968, we had a shore bombardment at Calibra. General quarters all morning, holiday routine all afternoon. February 5th, we had a causeway marriage. We had a highline exercise. We anchored off of Viegas Island. Mount 33 was back in commission. On the 6th, we're still anchored. We took my third class gunner's mate test. It was a hard test, a lot of electronic questions. On the 7th, we backloaded Marines, anchored at St. Thomas, Liberty call for E4 and above. I happened to be in E3 at the time. On the 8th, we went on Liberty in St. Thomas, went swimming, watched the skydivers. I got paid $32. This was the beach club. On the 9th, I had duty and we took on 183 gallons of booze on our booze run. February 10th, another mishap. We were shooting an air shoot, and Stretch Rosbo was in charge of the director. He accidentally shot down the sleeve that was being pulled by a drone. Novak was a mount captain on Mount 33, and he got off 60 rounds. We got word of the March cruise cancellation. February 11th, 1968, was a Sunday. We had holiday routine. We had a matinee of Blood Alley with John Wayne. Evening, we watched Kiss Kiss, Kill Kill. We caught up on greatly needed sleep. February 12th, we worked on a gun mount. We had a small arms shoot. We fell behind a squadron. Mac has only 6 days to get out of the service. On the 13th, we had a highline. We had very rough seas, getting ready for zone and weekend liberty canceled. Mac has only 5 days now. Offloaded Marines at Morehead City, and we got mail. On the 15th, we arrived at Little Creek. The new gunner's mate came aboard, Lucas. He took over from Powell. We watched the movie Cleopatra. On the 16th, we worked on the gun tubs. We gun deck paint jobs to get it ready for the Monday's change of command ceremonies. I had the duty, the 4 to 8 watch. I had to work getting ready for the change of command. February 25th, I went to church. I had the 8 to 12 and the 20 to 24 watches. On the 26th, I worked on gun mount 32, and I got it back into commission. On the 27th, I worked on gun mount 31. I bought a suit from a salesman that came on the ship, and I watched the movie Panic in the City. On the 28th, I had duty for the 8 to 12 watch. The 29th, it rained and it snowed. We unloaded empty brass at noon in rain and caught a cold. March 1st, 1968. March came in like a lion. Snow, and I stood by for Apolloni on the 20 to 24 watch. I put in a chit for a 14-day leave from April 11th to the 25th of April. On the 2nd, I had to work all day on routine work, and we also worked on Sunday, the 3rd. On the 4th, we pulled out from NOB, which is Norfolk Base, and we went through the degaussing range, and we married with the AKA. Period. March the 5th, we canceled the air shoot because of no communications. We had local surface shoot with barrels. It was my first time as local surface operator on Mount 33. I shot 20 rounds, BL and T. On the 6th, I had highline exercises. We pulled into the creek at 5:30 p.m. The 6th, we had highline exercises, and they pulled into the creek. But on the 7th, it was payday, and I got $38. I spent the first payment on a suit, $30. Had duty, 20 to 24 watch. We put in a chit for leave, but it was disapproved because of the ship being out at the time I wanted to go on Liberty. On the 8th is Liberty call at 11:30, but I stayed on and worked on Mount 33 and got a haircut. March 9th, 1968. I took off at noon and I drove around in Larry Kilmer's green Volkswagen. We went to the movie The Graduate, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and I stayed overnight at Apolloni's house. The following day, I slept until 11 a.m. and I watched the movie Matchless. March 12th, rainy day, we pulled out at 5:30 p.m. and worked on the hoist. On the 13th, we got shots for smallpox, a skin test for TB. We pulled into Little Creek and I watched the movie. We launched the drones for the DD gun shoot. On the 14th of March 1968, I went to the dentist again because of a toothache. He put a temporary filling in, and I watched the movie The Best Years of Your Lives. On the 15th, I went back to the dentist again, one tooth filled, and I had duty 20 to 24. On the 16th, I slept in the holiday slack time for a change. On the 17th of March, which was a Sunday, was a slack day, so I slept. It was Apolloni, who we call Greasy's, birthday. On the 18th, we pulled out for Miami, Florida. It was a rainy day. Okay. We had a gun shoot on the 19th, and Mount 33 shot 29 rounds. Mount 31 shot 11 rounds. We busted the drive chain on 33. I was a local surface operator. Weather getting warmer. On March 20th, 1968, we had a fire in main control. The weather is beautiful. On the 21st, we pulled into Pier Number 1 of Miami, Florida. We had Liberty call at 12:30 p.m., and the gunnery could leave at 1600 hours. I walked a lot, and I went to Miami Beach. I watched the movie Valley of the Dolls. We dropped the anchor by mistake. Friday, the 22nd of March, 1968, I had Pier Watch, 8 to 12 and 20 to 24. Best Pier Watch duty I ever had. Weather was beautiful. March 23rd, I hitchhiked to Pirates World at Fort Lauderdale. I went to the USO dance, and I met Carol Chapman. Sunday, March 24th, 1968, we got underway from Miami at 10 a.m. Holiday routine. The 25th was Stretch's 25th birthday. We steamed all day and we worked on PMS. 26th, we had LVT drills off of Onslow Beach, North Carolina. We jacked 33 out of battery. I got a haircut. Marines embarked and disembarked from the nets. We worked on the PMSs on the 27th. The 28th, we had a freshwater washdown. We pulled into Little Creek and I played softball. On March 29th, the AMSA people worked on Mount 33. On the 30th, which is a Saturday, I went to Williamsburg, Virginia with Larry Kilmer in his green Volkswagen. Interesting town. We went to a movie and a choral recital. March 31st, I woke up with a stiff neck. I went to sick bay. I watched the movies Umbre with Paul Newman and Smokey with Bess Parker. I called home. I learned about the cruise change. On the 1st of April, 1968, I worked in the magazines, had a reliable screening for Nuclear Weapons School, which I'm supposed to go to next week. I watched the movie The King's Pirate. On the 2nd, I worked on the Mount and I watched the movie The Viscounts. On the 3rd, I worked on PMS on the Mount. I learned about leave being shortened. April 4th was payday. It's a Thursday. I worked on the mounts, timing the loaders. I watched the movie Ideal and Danger. I had the duty, petty officer of the watch now, because I'm a petty officer. The 5th of April, we had a zone inspection, and I had 72, but I stayed aboard, and I got the order to go to nuclear handling school. On the 6th, I slept late. I bummed around and I went to the exchange, and I called home. On the 8th of April, 1968, I went to a school for nuclear weapons training. I got third class results, and I make rate in April 16th. I played pool that day at the barracks and watched TV. The school is easy if you listen. I watched on TV the Martin Luther King funeral. That was on the 9th. On the 10th, we saw the actual weapons used as bombs. I graduated on the 11th from nuclear weapons school. I returned to the ship and got ready for leave. On the 12th, I started a 9-day leave and went home. I returned from my leave on the 20th of April, 1968. I left at 3 p.m. and got to Norfolk at 10:20, a 3-hour wait in Chicago. I had duty on Sunday, and I fixed the carriage timing on Mount 32. On the 22nd of April, Chris changed to Mount 32 for Apolloni, and he pulled out for 2 weeks of drills. We were at sea on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and we had a local surface gun shoot on the 24th. I'm back at Mount Captain on Mount 33 again, which is my favorite job. Mount 31 fired 20 rounds, 32 20 rounds, and 33 had 1 round. April 27th, 1968, we had 5 o'clock reveille and we unloaded the Marines at Villegas. We had trouble with the mooring, so we had to build a bridge out of telephone poles. On the 28th, we arrived in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We had Liberty there, and I went sightseeing to Fort El Morro, Old Cemetery. That was the place where a guy pulled a knife on me and wanted to rob me, and instead of that I gave him cigarettes out of my sock, and he was happy. On the 29th, I got a new ID card. I went to the ship's ball game. The officers won 8-4. I went swimming at the base pool, and I watched the movie. We had duty on the 30th. In May of 1968, we had a general quarters firing at Calibro. 33, shot 35 rounds. We got a grade of outstanding. I was a mount captain again. On the second, we worked on the mounts, and I painted, and we aired out our bedding, and a payday of $110. May 3rd, 1968, another day that I can remember. We had a small arms firing and a skeet shoot. Batista, who was a steward, stabbed the fireman Brinkley with a butcher knife in the back while he was walking across the mess decks. Batista was put in custody by the gunner's mates, and we guarded him in the barbershop because we didn't have a jail. May 5th, 1968, we had sea detail. We offloaded the Marines at Morehead City. We helped the USS Dash with a generator casualty. On the 6th, we pulled into Pier number 15 of Little Creek. I had duty. We had drills all day on the 7th. We had drills for a score on the 8th. We painted on the 9th. I had duty on the 10th, a zone inspection, and we worked until noon on the mounts and watched movies, Counterpoint, on the 11th of May, 1968. On the 12th of May, 1968, I went bowling. My score was 125 for 6 games, average. We had a material inspection on the 13th. I sent my suit home in the mail. On the 14th, I had duty. We had habitability inspection. We had a chest x-ray on the 15th, also an admiral's inspection. A payday of $55 on the 16th. Personnel inspection on the 17th. Duty on the 18th. Duty on the 19th. Normal work day on the 20th. And Lucas, our gunner's mate first class, went on a 20-day leave. That was good. On the 21st of May, 1968, we inventoried our helmets. We painted on the mount. Celebrity seaman got busted for sleeping on watch at Mass. He got charged with sleeping. Lorain County won the ball game 12-0. We had duty on the 22nd. 24th of May, 1968, I had liberty again, and I hitchhiked to Washington, D.C. Went to the Wax Museum, went to the Smithsonian Institute in the Capitol, went to the Georgetown with 3 girls in a Volkswagen, along with Larry Kilmer, the driver. 26, 1968, I hitchhiked back to Norfolk. I went to the dentist on the 27th. We loaded 400 rounds of ammo on the 28th. I had an eye checkup on the 29th. I checked 20/20. I had a blood test. Payday was $56. This is on a Wednesday this time. I smashed my finger in the loader sprocket on mount. I found out about the yard period in Newport News. We watched the movie Run for Your Thief. Like a thief. I had the duty and the holiday routine. On the 31st of May 1968, I went to Washington, D.C. again with Larry Kilmer and Tom Crowner. We got there in 3 hours, went shopping, and met kids from Illinois. We went to the Smithsonian Institute the next day and relaxed, and we saw Resurrection City. We came back to the ship in the Volkswagen. In June of 1968, we went out several times during the week and would be back in on Friday. We offloaded our ammunition, and the weekend we would sit in port. It was hot weather in June and July of that year, and I did a lot of sunbathing on Mount 33. June 12, 1968, a Wednesday. Happy birthday to me. I am now 20 years old. We had a change of command on the tank deck. Lieutenant Commander Flynn relieved Lieutenant Commander Clark. I was on honor guard. We watched the movie Yellowstone Kelly, and I went swimming and bowling. Payday was $51 on Thursday. I stood by for Huntley and the ship pulled into Berkeley shipyards in Norfolk, Virginia. I called home on the 16th of June, and on the 17th of June I went to the dentist again at NOB. This time I had 2 wisdom teeth pulled and 1 molar pulled. I was very sore and had to ride the bus back to the ship. On the 18th we went into dry dock at Norfolk Dry Dock and Shipbuilding Company. We had duty on the 19th, a normal work day on the 20th. We worked on the mounts on the 21st. I went to Virginia Beach and I rode the waves and got good tan and went to the movie Yours, Mine, and Ours on the 22nd of June. In June of 24th of 1968, we went to the Horrid Brothers Shipyard in Newport News, Virginia for a yards period where we stayed for a long, long time. While there, they sandblasted the ship and we were forced to leave the ship during the nighttime hours because of the sandblasting. So our mess decks were closed. We ate out of the barracks on base, and we rented an apartment in Newport News for 2 months. About the only thing that happened while we were in the yards, we had another fire in the boatswain's locker, and we went to the Warwick Hotel for several weekends and stayed there instead of staying on the ship. In August, I flew home for a 17-day leave. During that period of time, I helped my brother Jim clean out the apartment in Loganville, where later in life I moved into. While on leave in September, I went to football games at Reedsburg, and they won 38-26. I went to the Richland County Fair, and I went to Bob Spoonholz's wedding dance. In November, after being in the shipyards since July, our ship was ready to go back into action. Rumors of a cut of regulars were circulating around the ship. I was rumored to have a transfer off the ship. November 20th, our yard period was extended at least another week. They told us this right after I checked out of the apartment that I was renting. So we stayed at the Warwick Hotel for 2 weekends. In December the 2nd, we got underway from the yards going to Little Creek. We lost our steering shaft. We held another freshwater wash down, and Mr. Ryan thinks I might stay first time in the undress blues. We watched a movie and I played pinochle. Apolloni finally got discharged. December 9th, 1968, I got a transfer card to the USS Algoa, ALGOL, aka 54, out of Charleston, South Carolina. Supposed to leave on the 23rd of December for a 10-day leave and then transfer. That never happened. They canceled the transfer. December 19th, 1968, I was told I could go home on the early leave schedule. I was unable to find an airplane out of Norfolk during that busy time for Christmas leave. So I started home hitchhiking 20 and a half hours, 14 rides in the snow and ice, and I got home. When I got home, the folks were gone, and I went into the house, and they didn't know I was coming, and when they came home, I was hiding in Denny's bedroom. When Denny came up the steps, he pulled a knife on me because he thought I was a burglar. I said, surprise. I won't do that no more. After spending Christmas at my parents', I started back to Norfolk on the 26th of December, 1968. I got on a plane at 3 p.m. and I got bumped off at D.C. I rented a car and took a bus, and I got into Norfolk at 2:20 a.m. After my leave in December of 1968, I had 6 months left to do in the Navy. During that period of time, I took a test for E5 and passed the test, but was unable to take the rating because I was short timer. You had to have 1 year left in the service. I would have had to extend to get the rating. I would have also been transferred probably to Vietnam. So I chose not to take the promotion, just to ride out my last 6 months, which I did. They were very uneventful. I stayed on the ship as a E4. I did training to some of the other newer gunner's mates. And on June the 11th, 1969, I was discharged from the United States Navy and came home to a welcoming committee at the Madison Airport of the Wheelerburg homemakers that were there to meet me at the airport.